Hidden beneath the marble temples and mythic gods of ancient Greece was a secret. A ritual so sacred, its details were punishable by death if spoken aloud. For 2,000 years, only the chosen few walked the shadowy path of the Eleusinian Mysteries, an ancient cult that promised enlightenment, transformation, and perhaps even a glimpse into life after death. But what were they really doing behind those closed temple doors? Was it religion? Was it science? Or something far beyond what we can understand today? Today, we uncover one of the oldest secret societies in human history. Welcome to the story of the Eleusinian Mysteries, where the line between myth and reality begins to blur. The secret that survived 2,000 years. In a quiet corner of ancient Greece, hidden beyond the reaches of everyday life, a sacred ritual unfolded every year under a veil of secrecy. A ritual that promised transformation, enlightenment, and maybe, just maybe, immortality. This wasn't just another religious festival. It wasn't a public ceremony for the masses. This was an initiation into the Eleusinian Mysteries, a secretive religious cult that endured for nearly 2,000 years. Even the rise and fall of empires couldn't erase its influence. From powerful rulers to humble farmers, thousands journeyed to Eleusis, risking everything, for a chance to experience something beyond this world. And yet, what exactly happened inside the sanctuary of Demeter and Persephone remains one of history's most tightly guarded secrets. So why does this matter to us, thousands of years later? Because buried inside these rituals lie questions that still haunt humanity. What happens after we die? Can we access higher states of consciousness? And what if the answers were hidden not in modern science, but in the rituals of an ancient cult? This isn't just a history lesson. It's a journey into one of the most mysterious belief systems ever practiced by humans. So stay with us, because what you're about to hear has been hidden in silence for centuries. Origins in mythology, Demeter, Persephone, and the birth of the mysteries. To understand the Eleusinian Mysteries, we must begin with the myth that gave birth to it all. One of the most powerful and emotional stories in all of Greek mythology. The tale of Demeter and Persephone. The myth that shaped a religion. Demeter was the goddess of agriculture, the life giver, the mother of the harvest. Her daughter, Persephone, symbolized innocence and the cycle of life itself. But that cycle was about to be broken. One day, while picking flowers, Persephone was abducted by Hades, the god of the underworld. He took her beneath the earth to be his queen. When Demeter learned of her daughter's disappearance, the earth stopped blooming. Crops withered, the world darkened. Myth meets nature, the cycle of life and death. In her grief, Demeter refused to let anything grow until Persephone was returned. After negotiation with Zeus, a compromise was struck. Persephone would spend part of the year with her mother, and part of the year with Hades in the underworld. And so the seasons were born, the death of winter and the rebirth of spring. This wasn't just a story. It was a spiritual metaphor for life, death, and rebirth. The foundation of the Eleusinian Mysteries. A promise beyond death. The message was clear. Just as Persephone returned from death, so could we. For those initiated into the mysteries, this myth offered something rare in the ancient world. A hope that death was not the end. And it's this very myth that inspired the secret rituals performed at Eleusis every year. Rituals that promised inner transformation and, some believed, immortality of the soul. The power of symbolism. In Greek culture, myths were not just stories, they were living truths. And at Eleusis, the story of Demeter and Persephone wasn't merely told. It was reenacted, lived, and felt on a level few could describe. The journey to Eleusis. Who was allowed, and why it mattered. Imagine walking for days under the blazing Greek sun. Dust clinging to your skin, the weight of expectation heavy in the air. You're not alone, thousands move with you. But none of you fully know what lies ahead. You've begun the sacred pilgrimage to Eleusis. The sacred pilgrimage, 21 kilometers of spiritual commitment, every year. Initiates would travel the 21 kilometers from Athens to the sanctuary of Eleusis. This journey wasn't just physical, it was symbolic. A transition from the ordinary world into the realm of the divine. They stopped at sacred sites along the way, cleansing in rivers, offering sacrifices, and chanting invocations. This path, known as the Sacred Way, was lined with inside the rituals. What happened during the Eleusinian Mysteries? For months, they prepared. For days, they traveled. But when initiates finally reached the sacred sanctuary of Eleusis, the real journey had only just begun. The Telesterion, the Hall of Initiation. At the heart of the Eleusinian Mysteries stood the Telesterion, a massive hall built to hold thousands. This was the most sacred site in the cult, and what happened inside was one of the best-kept secrets of the ancient world. Not a single detail of the core ritual was ever revealed. Even centuries later, no initiate broke their vow. To do so was considered not just a betrayal, but a crime against the gods. 3 sacred elements: the drama, the revelation, the utterance. From what little we know, the ceremony involved 3 powerful elements: a drama, a revelation, and a sacred utterance. The drama reenacted the myth of Demeter and Persephone. The revelation may have involved a divine symbol or sacred object, and the utterance, perhaps words only the gods were meant to hear. Many ancient writers claimed that seeing this ritual changed them forever, that it brought a vision of eternity, a journey of the soul. This wasn't magic. It wasn't trickery. It was a psychological transformation, a confrontation with death, and the promise of something more. The Eleusinian Mysteries were not just about gods and myths. They were about human experience, about fear, loss, rebirth, and the hope that the soul might live on. Anyone, man or woman, rich or poor, slave or free, could be initiated, as long as they spoke Greek and hadn't committed murder. This openness made the mysteries unique in the ancient world, but their secrecy? That made them sacred. The fall of the mysteries. How a 2,000-year-old cult disappeared forever. For nearly 2,000 years, the Eleusinian Mysteries were practiced in secret. Generation after generation walked the sacred way, seeking meaning, transformation, and hope. But like all things, even mysteries can die. Enter the Romans, power shifts and new gods. As the Roman Empire rose, Eleusis was still revered. Even emperors like Hadrian and Marcus Aurelius were initiated. But with the spread of a new monotheistic faith, Christianity, things began to change. The early Christian church viewed the mysteries not as sacred, but as dangerous, pagan, and possibly heretical. 392 AD. The end of the rituals. In 392 AD, Emperor Theodosius I outlawed all pagan practices across the empire. Temples were shuttered, sacred texts destroyed, and the Telesterion, once echoing with chants and light, fell silent. The mysteries vanished, not in a flash, but in a slow, suffocating silence. But did the knowledge really die? Though the rituals were lost, the idea behind them lived on. Philosophers, mystics, poets, even modern psychologists, have tried to decode the Eleusinian experience. Some believe it was the world's first organized spiritual awakening, a structured confrontation with life, death, and rebirth. A secret, not meant to be kept, but felt. Legacy in modern times. Today, echoes of the mysteries can be found in the rise of modern spirituality. In ancient myth, sacred ceremony, and the human desire to understand what lies beyond the veil. What were the Eleusinian Mysteries? Really? A cult? A religion? A psychological transformation? Or something we still can't explain? Whatever they were, the Eleusinian Mysteries offered something rare, not just a belief, but an experience. A journey into the heart of what it means to be human. If you've enjoyed this journey into the forgotten world of ancient spirituality, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into history, mystery, and the human experience. Your support keeps these forgotten stories alive.